A founder's perspective on public scrutiny, accountability, and building forward entrepreneurship often looks cleaner from the outside than it feels in real time. Public stories usually compress years of decisions, mistakes, pressure, and growth into a simple narrative. For founders, that compression can be difficult to accept. It can also be useful. Basta has spent much of his career around company building, capital, health, and technology. His current perspective reflects a disciplined view of leadership. The lesson is not that scrutiny should be feared. It should be understood as part of the cost of building in public. In modern entrepreneurship, founders rarely control every version of the story told about them. Markets move fast. Online conversations move faster. A decision made under pressure can later be examined without the context that shaped it. Yet accountability requires leaders to resist the urge to explain every detail or defend every choice. The stronger response is quieter still. It is to learn, tighten systems, listen to what events reveal, and build with more care the next time. That mindset is important in industries where trust matters. Healthcare, longevity, and technology are serious categories. They affect decisions people make about their bodies, families, and futures. In that environment, confidence is not built through claims. It is built through consistency, evidence, and clarity about what a product, service, or therapy can and cannot do. What scrutiny teaches founders? Public scrutiny often arrives when a company is already under strain. Founders make decisions with incomplete information, limited time, and competing obligations. They must balance stakeholders and long-term strategy while protecting the quality of the work. One of the more useful lessons for any founder is that leadership is measured when the easy options disappear. A company can look organized when conditions are favorable. Its real character shows when a product misses the mark, a team decision becomes difficult, or outside attention challenges the company's version of itself. For Basta, that broader lesson has become central to how he evaluates founders and operating teams. Strong leadership is about conviction and humility under pressure. It is the ability to admit where a system needs improvement without turning every setback into a personal injury. That distinction matters. Founders who make public accountability about themselves often miss the larger lesson. Founders who treat it as information can use it to become more durable. Accountability as an operating principle. Accountability is often discussed as a personal trait. In strong companies, it must also become an operating principle. That means building organizations where problems can surface before they become larger failures. It means defining roles, documenting decisions, setting standards, and creating review processes that are not dependent on founder memory or instinct. In regulated or trust-based industries, these systems are not administrative burdens. They are part of the product. Healthcare offers a clear example. A clinic, digital health platform, or longevity venture cannot rely only on branding or demand. It must earn confidence through clinical oversight, transparency, compliance, and careful patient communication. The same is true for companies using artificial intelligence in health operations. The technology may create speed, but speed without judgment can weaken trust. This is where a more mature founder perspective becomes valuable. Growth alone is not proof that a business is healthy. A company can scale attention before it scales discipline. It can attract users before it has the right infrastructure. It can raise capital before it has earned the internal standards required to manage complexity. Building forward means correcting that order. Structure must come before speed. Evidence must come before promotion. Accountability must come before expansion. The shift from reaction to discipline And many founders begin with a bias toward action. That bias can be useful. It helps them launch, sell, recruit, and survive early uncertainty. Over time, however, the same bias can become a liability if it is not matched by discipline. The next stage of leadership requires a different question. Not only what can be built, but what should be built, how it should be governed, and what are the second and third order effects. That question sits at the center of responsible entrepreneurship. It asks founders to consider more than the immediate return and the quality of the systems they leave behind. In healthcare and longevity, this discipline becomes even more important. The consumer wellness market often rewards bold language and quick promises. Preventative medicine requires a more careful approach. It is not about selling a single solution. It is about building a model that combines diagnostics, clinical guidance, lifestyle data, treatment protocols, and ongoing accountability. That is a harder message to market, but it is more durable. It moves the conversation away from short-term optimization and toward long-term health span. A systems view of health and leadership. The same systems thinking that applies to a company also applies to health. A person is not a collection of disconnected symptoms. A company is not a collection of disconnected departments. Both require feedback loops, early signals, and consistent maintenance. This connection appears in the work surrounding Nirvana Health, a precision health and longevity clinic focused on proactive care, early intervention, and health span optimization. The model reflects a shift from reactive treatment toward continuous, personalized care. In that kind of setting, leadership is not only about vision. It is about restraint. It requires knowing where evidence is strong, where it is still developing, and how to communicate the difference. It also requires building clinical and operational systems that do not depend on charisma or hype. I will likely play an expanding role in that process. Its most practical near-term value may be less dramatic than public conversation suggests. It can reduce administrative burden, improve pattern recognition, support more personalized protocols, and help clinicians and operators use data more efficiently. Still, technology should not replace judgment. In healthcare, better tools must serve better decisions. A founder who understands that distinction is less likely to confuse automation with care or speed with progress. The same applies to regenerative medicine, diagnostics, telehealth, and preventative care. These fields have promise, but promise alone is not enough. They require governance, research literacy, patient education, and responsible adoption. Building beyond the founder. A mature company cannot depend forever on the founder's direct involvement in every decision. That may feel counterintuitive in a culture that often centers the founder as the face of the business. Yet the goal of leadership should be to create an organization that can function with clarity even when the founder is not in the room. That requires a different form of ambition. It is less visible, but more valuable. It includes hiring people who can challenge assumptions, building partnerships around shared values, and creating decision rules that protect the company when pressure rises. It also requires patience. Trust in healthcare and technology is accumulated slowly. It cannot be rushed by marketing. It must be earned through repeated behavior, honest communication, and a willingness to acknowledge limits. This is a useful standard for founders who have experienced public scrutiny. The purpose of moving forward is not to erase the past. It is to show, over time, that the lessons have changed the way the work is done. That kind of progress is rarely dramatic. It looks like better governance, better diligence, better language, better partners. Better operating controls. Better alignment between what a company says and what it actually delivers. It is not always the version of entrepreneurship that gets the most attention. It is often the version that lasts. A practical view of the future. The next decade of health company building will likely reward founders who combine ambition with restraint. Longevity, personalized medicine, AI-enabled operations, diagnostics, peptide therapy, and regenerative medicine will continue to attract interest. Some companies will chase attention. Others will build stronger care models. Will Basta's current focus points toward the second path. Through Nirvana Health, advisory work, investing, and longer-range efforts such as Project Oasis, the work reflects an interest in health as a system shaped by medicine, data, environment, and daily behavior. That perspective is also a reminder that founder growth is not only professional. It is personal in the sense that leadership must evolve as responsibility increases. Public scrutiny may test that evolution, but it does not have to define it. The more useful measure is what comes after. Does the founder become more careful? Does the company become more accountable? Do future decisions reflect the lessons learned under pressure? The discipline to build forward. Building forward requires composure. It asks leaders to accept that trust is not restored through statements alone. It is restored through time, conduct, and better systems. For founders, that may be the most practical lesson of all. Accountability is not the opposite of optimism. It is what makes optimism credible. The future belongs less to those who speak the loudest about change and more to those who build patiently, measure honestly, and keep improving when no one is watching.